Sunday morning cold, eyes on the score, touchdown dance ball, craving for more. Friends are calling, trades are on fire. Rookies falling, championship desire. Fantasy football fever, chasing the dream. Top of the leaderboard, we're the winning team.
Welcome to the Tales of the Fantasy Football Healers. You can discover the healers through the vast sea of Twitter at FFHealers and at FFCaptain22. Enjoy your tricks and treats with this show. You best like and subscribe to the show to ensure you're not cursed. I'm your host, Dustin Brown, and with me today is Colten Tall.
You said be prepared, and I was not. I don't know how you get into the characters so quickly. I mean, it's impressive, truly, because I don't get to hear any of this prior to recording, and so you just snap right into it. Normally, I have to get like a little phrase going in order to get into it, but man, killed it.
I love surprising you every time, Colten.
Old pirate Dustin.
This is going to be a fun show. We figured we'd do kind of a Halloween episode as we're going into Halloween next week. We already kicked it off here in our small town. They did Halloween on Main Street. My kids dressed up as Cleopatra and a werewolf, and then I had to run around as Star-Lord. And I thought that was kind of fun. A lot of neat treats and people you get to talk to in a small town. You get to know some people. So it was pretty fun, Colten. And I understand that you guys went out too.
We did, yeah. After my wife actually sent it probably about 10 minutes after you had sent it to me, and I'm like, well, I guess I'm going. And I live 45 minutes away, or I work 45 minutes away, so I didn't have time to wear anything, so I was just a dad, you know. But the old kiddos got to dress up as Rebel on the double, man, little Paw Patrol. Middle one was a bumblebee, and our youngest was just a little puppy dog.
Very
Just
nice.
found the warmest costume possible for him.
Hopefully you didn't get stung.
I did actually get a little pee on me. I had to carry him around, and his diaper was just overfilling. I was like, oh God, oh no. It's time to go.
Yep, no, that'll cut it short for sure. With this episode, we're mainly going to be talking about like tricks and treats. We're going to talk about some teams and some players, different categories, and basically saying whether they're going to be a treat to have for the remainder of the season, or are they going to be a trick to be holding on to and you're left holding the bag. But before we get into that, Colten, there is some news. Colten, we should probably talk about the most devastating item that came out in regards to the wide receivers this past weekend, and that is Ray McCloud has been dropped by the Falcons, and he's now a Giant.
Yeah, picked up by the Giants. That is not what I was expecting to hear as this important bit, but yeah, he's now a Giant, and I still don't care.
Yeah. I was surprised that he was dropped by the Falcons because he was a decent plug-and-play person for them, when they had some players that were injured. But they must feel like they're pretty healthy and they don't need to rely on a third wide receiver for that offense, especially now that Pitts is actually playing somewhat decent.
Yeah, I mean, Pitts has just picked up his role. He's not the superstar everyone wants him to be, but he's at least been able to be a reliable target in that offense. So.
Yeah, the biggest bit of news here, Colten, of course, is the Mike Evans news. He went out for a catch and basically landed on his head and his shoulder. He ended up breaking his collarbone, ended up being concussed, and now he's out for what looks like the season.
Yeah, they said it's most likely season ending. So we're seeing towards the end of a fabulous career. He's been awesome. It's going to miss his first 1,000-yard season. Luckily, it's due to injury. But Yeah, it's just kind of sad, man. Mike Evans has been good for so long, and it's just kind of the end of an era.
Yes, absolutely. There is a chance that he can return at the end of the season, maybe in the playoffs, but he's not going to be helping you in your fantasy leagues.
No, no, and I know there's a lot of people that were kind of banking on Mike Evans being good again. Especially like in the dynasty. He's been on your team for a while, or you paid up because you're a contender to try to have Mike Evans because he's just been a reliable option. And man, it's just old faithful's gone.
Yep. Yeah, I heard some like fantasy footballers. They were talking about it on their show. They had a bet going whether Mike Evans was going to be good or not good, and basically, I think it was Holloway that said, "You know what? We're going to just drop that bet because it was based on injury and it wasn't based on the performance, and that's really what his bet was about."
Yeah, he definitely thought he was going to not have his first 1,000-yard season based on performance rather than injury. So,
Yep. What was supposed to be a revenge game between Kendre Miller versus Dennis Allen and the Bears ended up with Kendre Miller tearing his ACL. Apparently, Dennis Allen continues to be his kryptonite.
just in what world did Kendre Miller have to do to have this enemy that just keeps winning? Like what happened? What lifetime, man? Kendre Miller just goes up against Dennis Allen, tears his ACL, and becomes everything that Dennis Allen always said he was. Just an injury-prone running back. But hey, you know what that's good news for? My boy, Devin
Oh,
Neal,
Devin
is
Neal.
finally going to make the roster. So he's been a healthy scratch for pretty much all season. I think he was actually elevated to the roster last week. Got some return plays in and everything, but now, I mean, he's the number 2 behind Kamara, and at this point, I don't think they're going to be trading Kamara because of the injury to
Depth.
Kendrick Miller. I don't think they'll lean on Neal. I like Neal a lot. I think he has potential, but going from barely making the active roster to being there, trusting him to be their starter is kind of far-fetched. So.
Yeah, well, Devin Neal, he wasn't doing special teams, and so if Kendre Miller was the between the tackles grinder and Kamara was more of the satellite back, then he didn't really have a role in the team until now.
Right. So, but he'll make the roster. Just an interesting name to keep an eye on in case if Kamara goes down as well. I mean, he's the only other guy I know of on that team.
Only interesting take I have from this game is that the Dolphins and the Browns game was the first game in NFL history that had both starting quarterbacks left-handed, and that was Dylan Gabriel and Tua.
Yeah, 2 very, very bad left-handed quarterbacks.
Yeah, it was not a fun game to watch.
I didn't watch it.
It was Judkins all the way. I think he had 3 touchdowns.
Oh yeah, Judkins absolutely dominated, but yeah, I didn't really watch that one. Nothing was really happening except for the Judkins touchdowns.
Oh, I will say they did bench Tua and put Quinn Ewers in, and he was throwing some hospital balls out there.
No, you'll have that. I mean, that's what old Gabriel's doing too. He'll just chuck him up for his receivers to get absolutely murdered. So
It's only a matter of time, I think, before Sanders is in for the Browns, and we could see some Zach Wilson coming up here soon for the Miami Dolphins.
it would not surprise me. I mean, there's a possibility Tua has been playing absolutely terrible. He's just I don't know what's going on with him. He was good at one point, and his career's been such a roller coaster. I mean, it's just been he looks all right, and then he looks terrible, and then he looks okay again, then he looks terrible, then he has a great game, and then terrible. It's just what a weird career, and I have a feeling that career is coming closer to the end of being more of a backup here. So.
Colton was really close of getting cut or chopped in the Guillotine League this past week, like very close, like very, very close. It came down to having to have a miracle beer or two in the fourth quarter of the Broncos game to get Bo Nix going. It was like hocus pocus. Bo Nix goes from only scoring like 3 points to scoring almost 40 points and being the quarterback 1 for the week, ends up saving me, ends up saving the Broncos and actually winning this game. And if you watch the end of the game, Jackson Dart couldn't believe it. He looked like he was giving everything that he could. And by the end, he was just bent over on a knee, just exhausted and in disbelief.
I mean, yeah, so what a fun game to watch. At least the fourth quarter was. Fourth quarter was super fun to watch. They both played their butts off and everything. It was a wild ending, but it shows just how roller coaster the Denver Broncos offense has been this season too. It's like they've been super hot and then kind of just disappeared for a little bit. They're just a hot and cold act currently. I know we've said it before, but man, Jackson Dart and Cam Scatterbo are just not long for this league.
The Bash Brothers.
My goodness, dude. They need to learn to protect themselves at some point. I mean, they'll run face first into a wall and just try to crush it. And man, it's gonna come.
It's fun to watch, but they're not gonna make it long.
It cannot be fun to be Brian Dable on the sidelines just going, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. Am I gonna have to play Russell Wilson this week?
Oh my God. Well, speaking of which, we all saw when Jackson Dart ended up getting injured, and then Dayball ends up peeking into the tent and is like, when's my guy going to be out there? He didn't want Russell Wilson to even go out there for a second. He throws that dirt ball. I think that was last week. And now they're getting fined for going into the tent and disrupting the process.
Yeah, Dable was fined like $100,000. Scatterbo was fined $15,000 for it. So for violating the concussion protocol and going in there and messing with the doc. It actually looks like Dable was yelling at the doctor too on the sidelines.
Well, they were zoomed right in on him too. Everyone knows that he just wants to keep his job, and the only way he's keeping his job is if Dart's on the field and not Russell Wilson.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking of quarterbacks that are having a hard time keeping their job, or the team itself kind of keeping their jobs, and this goes back to the Cardinals, Colten. The Cardinals are the first team in NFL history that have lost 3 straight games after leading in the fourth quarter by 7 or more points. They do it again.
What?
This time with Jacoby.
Free Marvin Harrison. My goodness. He looked good too, and he made some spectacular catches in that game. And I just think it is the worst offense in the league. I mean, there's no creativity. There's none.
One that's worse.
Who?
Oh well, we're going into this next, Colten. It's the Jets. Jets ownership is throwing Justin Fields under the bus, and he's backing Aaron Glenn. And he's basically like, well, if you had that quarterback, you'd be this bad too. And so they want to throw out an injured Tyrod Taylor out there over Justin Fields. And I think it's only a matter of time before we see Brady Cook. I think he was a rookie quarterback that they picked up. They do not want to put Justin Fields back on the field. And in fact, Garret Wilson has an injury, and so does Sauce Gardner. All the big names, they don't want to play for this organization until there's some big changes moving forward.
Yeah, I mean, I can't say I blame him, but I mean, going back to the offense, at least there's some creativity in getting Garret Wilson the ball, some creativity and, utilizing Breece Hall. What I'm referring to is in that Cardinals organization is the offensive coordinator is just terrible. Drew Petzing is he just has zero creativity to his offense. He doesn't utilize his best players. Marvin Harrison, you have a star wide receiver. You don't utilize him correctly. Trey McBride, you have a star stud tight end. And it's just it seems like every play it's oh God. I'm like, what is happening? What do you do? Just get the ball to the players. You don't have James Conner in the backfield anymore. Trey Benson is out too. Get the ball to your 2 players. No, we'll throw it to Greg Dortch. Let's scheme something up for Greg Dortch.
He seems like a nice guy.
What are you doing, Petzing? Get the ball to the good ones. Gosh, I get so frustrated because there's been, I think Marvin Harrison has been such a bust, not because of who he is as a player, but where he's at. If you took If you took Harrison and you put him on the Chargers, could you imagine us talking about him this way? Because I could not in a million years. I mean,
Not like this.
no, I mean, maybe he is not going to ever live up to what the hype was built upon him, but we would not be talking about him as a guy that's like, ooh, I don't really know if I want him on my team. Maybe I'll use the name value to get something more. I'm still a believer he has flashes of greatness. Like, he had a sweet catch last weekend that he had to just kind of come up with because his offensive coordinator is doing him no justice or no help. The Jets,
When you said Chargers, I
goodness.
got a little bit of a cringe because of this Thursday night football game. It's still kind of burning, you know. It really hurts. It just was an awful game to watch, Colton. And, you know, let's keep throwing Carson Wentz out there with what looked like almost like a sling around his shoulder. And every time he even got even nicked or touched, he looks like he's in agony the whole time. Let's keep him out there, guys. Let's hold the process. And then at the last 2 minutes of the game, we see Max Brosmer. He's moving down the field. They had 3 timeouts, and I'm like, I would have liked to have seen him do something in the fourth quarter and just see what we have in the kid. He was moving down the field. He could have put a timeout or 2, and we probably would have scored a few more points. Not that it would have mattered, but getting the kid some experience.
I think the Chargers had put their 4th string in at that point.
Nonetheless, a practice is practice. You can have Max Brosmer go over some plays and just see if he can throw the ball accurately for, you know, I don't know. Anything was better than what I saw on the television, Colton. It was god awful.
It was a very brutal game to watch. And you've so recently sent me a link to join a Vikings group. And my goodness, I've never seen so many adult men complain about a head coach and hiring the best wide receiver in the league. I'm like, come on, guys. If you didn't sign Justin Jefferson, what does this team have to live for? Come on, you got to have something going.
Yeah. Yeah, well, and the defense was leaky. The offense couldn't move the ball. I mean, it was just awful.
Yeah.
Just awful.
I mean, I've said it on this podcast before. I did not. You said you blamed the sourness of Wentz being on the Colts, but Wentz, I don't believe, has been that good of a quarterback, and he held the ball forever.
He holds it forever, but this is when he's playing through injury. This is what my whole point was. When he's injured and he's playing through the injuries because he's a tough guy, that's what taints his name. I mean, that's going to be what we remember. Nobody's going to pick him up ever after that play.
His career's done effectively after that game because and he just kept. I'm like, if you're injured too and you don't want to get hit, get the ball out of your hands, dude. I was looking at the times to pass essentially, and Justin Herbert was 2.45. Carson Wentz was 3.4 something. I'm like,
felt like it was longer than that.
Oh, it did too. I mean, that was just the averages, but I'm like, just get the ball out of your hands, get it out, throw it. Throw the ball. No, you're just still dancing around. What are you doing? Throw the ball.
He was back there.
Forever. 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 Forever.
Yeah, it was rough to watch, man. And the defense just could not stop anything. I mean, let's go into that game just a little bit too. Are you a believer in Oronde Gadsden? Is he the real deal? Is he a dynasty football long-term asset?
I mean, I think we've got to believe that. He was a 3rd-string tight end, and he completely jumped over 2 of productive tight ends that have been in the league for some time in Will Dissly and Conklin. And he's showing that he can block. He's showing that he can get down the field. He's finding the open areas of the field and zone. He's playing well against man-to-man. I mean, he looks like a trusted player, and he's playing like a wide receiver out there. And he's a move tight end. But I don't know if you caught it on the television on Thursday, but he's gained weight. He's up to 250 pounds right now. And that was my one concern about Gadsden was when he was coming in, he was only 240 pounds. So he's putting in the work. He's putting in some weight, and he's showing that he can be an asset for this Chargers team.
Yeah. What would you give to give up to have him on your team?
I was offered a second earlier this week and I declined it.
That's what I'm
And
saying.
yeah, and I tried offering a second to somebody in another league. I just didn't hear an answer because I'm like, he's kind of in between that first and second. I wouldn't give up a first for him, but if you could give up a second and maybe another small piece or a developmental player, I think that could potentially get it done.
Yeah, I
But
mean,
there's so much hype around him right now. Like you don't want it's going to be hard to buy him
yeah,
coming off of this streak.
it's extremely hard to buy him currently. I'm also on the train of I think he's legit. I mean, just look at the targets he's gotten over the week. It's been insane. I mean, for a guy like on a team with a lot of mouth to feeds already. I mean, you've got Lad McConkey, Quentin Johnson has poked his head back up and has been playing well. Keenan Allen, and he's still getting targets. So in that depth of a wide receiver core, and he's still getting targets. I mean, you got to believe it. And if you picked him up, I mean, probably third round of a rookie draft, congrats. I mean, I've got him in a couple places. I even played him.
I got him off the waivers.
I was forced to play him last week. So I was forced to play him last week. So not Thursday night football. I was just kind of backed into it. Dalton Kincaid was on the bye. My only other option was Ben Sinnott. And so I was like, well, I'll play Gadsden. He's at least caught a couple of passes and just absolutely went off for my team. So I left him in there for Thursday night football this week, and man, I'm happy I did. So definitely, I think an asset to have currently, but I would give it a couple of weeks to see if maybe he cools off, and then I'd go and buy him because I don't think he's going away.
I don't think so either. And Colton, you kind of jumped us into the trick or treat section as Gadsden was one of the tight ends that we are going to talk about. So let's get into trick or treat. So it sounds like Gadsden is a treat for you then, Colton.
I didn't. That was my bad. I was just trying to talk about Thursday night football.
Yeah, it was excellent. It was great content. It's just we'll start with the tight ends.
Yeah.
We've already kind of got your take here on Gadsden and my take on Gadsden. We've got two other tight ends in this category, and let's go with Theo Johnson of the Giants. Is he a trick or is he a treat for the remainder of the season?
So Theo Johnson, I'll take this one as a treat, honestly. We're looking at another athletic tight end. I believe he was like the highest athleticism at the tight end position ever when he came out. What was this? Is this his second
last year?
Third? Last year. Okay, second year in the league. So he's extremely athletic tight end. You know, the Giants do not have a lot of passing options. You know, they do not have a lot of receivers on that team with Malik Neighbors going down. Darius Slayton has been injured. So you kind of got Wan'Dale Robinson, Ray McCloud, Daniel Bellinger, who's the other tight end, and Theo Johnson. And I mean, with it being his second year, he's caught a couple of passes here and there. He's had a couple of games where he's had a few catches, but I'm still just kind of waiting on seeing what he can do. And I mean, this is his real chance, you know, second year in the league. And, you know, this is his chance to step up with Jackson Dart kind of emerging and everything. So I'll see. I might be changing my mind towards the end of the year if he just doesn't start kind of ramping things up and getting things done. But I think he's a treat.
We got to see some consistency, I think, between for Theo Johnson. I think that's something we haven't seen yet. Last year, he got injured fairly early on, and he was out for most of the season. And then this year, he's finally getting his feet underneath them. As you said, you know, we like to target tight ends that are athletic, and he's about as athletic as it comes at the tight end position. So there's definitely some upside. So I'd rather take him as a treat and hope for the best versus, you know, hopefully we don't see that he becomes a trick as the season progresses on. I'm just interested to see, does the Giants do anything before the trade deadline to fill in some more wide receiver needs more than Ray McCloud?
Yeah, absolutely. It's definitely something to keep an eye on. They have been sniffing around, but we'll see.
And finally, our last tight end is Mason Taylor of the Jets. We're seeing the Jets kind of cashing it in right now. Garret Wilson, he's sitting out. We're seeing Tyrod Taylor getting thrown in there instead of Justin Fields, and so maybe that opens up the passing game a little bit more. But if you have Mason Taylor on your team, do you feel like it's a trick or a treat?
So for this season, I think it's a trick. This year, I'm just going to go ahead and wash away anything I think of Mason Taylor. I think for the rest of the year, he is absolutely going to be a trick because of the uncertainty of this team, the uncertainty of this offense, the uncertainty at the quarterback position. There's just so much uncertainty with this. I mean, with Garret Wilson not really playing, he becomes one of the only options. But are these targets high valued? No. Are these targets going to be even catchable? I can't tell you that. I mean, so he gets an insane amount of targets. Like weeks 3 through 5, he had 6, 7, and 12, which is awesome to see as a rookie tight end. Those are great targets. Yeah. So I like him as a dynasty asset to have. And maybe at the end of this year, when his numbers look so garbage because this team is garbage, maybe he's a value that you can go and buy him. But as of right now, I just think it's a trick to put him in any amount of starting lineups.
Yeah, but I kind of disagree. Like, isn't this the time frame that you want to see him be prolific? Because there's no other receiving targets that are out there. So he's the only guy out there. So he should be getting all the targets.
He should be. Those were targets when Garret Wilson was still on the field. So that's
what do you think is going to happen without Garret on the field?
I don't think they're going to be able to throw the ball is the problem. I mean, I just don't think they're going to be able to move the ball around at all. I think Garret Wilson was their last saving grace. So I mean, this offense is going to be inept.
Okay, well, I'm definitely scared.
A little scary sometimes, you know that. Brilliant, but scary.
Let's stick with the scary team. Now we're going into the wide receivers. We're like trick or treat with Garret Wilson. Like if you have Garret Wilson, like you're not feeling great right now.
I have a league that my wide receiver core is insane. It's absolutely CeeDee Lamb, Malik Neighbors, Garret Wilson, Chris Olave, Devontae Smith. And I am washing this year because I have one win because all my wide receivers have been injured or on terrible teams. I'm like, oh, it's terrible. And Garret Wilson being one of those, it's like, he's out, obviously. He's injured. And he's not going to be rushing back to, I think he's truly injured. I think Garret Wilson would be out there if he could, but I don't think he's going to be rushing it back. It's not like he's going to be like, I have to be out there for my team at this point. He's like, I'm just going to go ahead and get healthy and I'll pad my stats later on. But as a fantasy football outlook, it's not pretty because he's not going to play or he's not going to play well. Tyrod, an injured old Tyrod Taylor slinging the ball out there. Sure, he'll get a couple of catches, but this team is not going to be able to move the ball. They're not going to be able to get touchdowns. It's going to be a wash of a year, unfortunately. He's a trick.
Just gives you chills just to want to play Garret Wilson right now. I mean,
yeah.
I did a trade in the offseason in a Superflex Dynasty Best Ball, and I ended up trading JSN for Garret Wilson in a third. And at the time, it was like, okay, well, I'm getting a third on top of it. I didn't really have that many picks, and I gotta say, I already dropped to the player that was the third, Jalen Royals. Because it's sad. Things happen.
That is sad. That's like my Cooper Kupp trade, man. Just traded him away right before the big blow-up season. Man, JSN isn't on this list, is he?
No, he's not.
God, he looks so good.
I think he's easily a treat for all of us, and thanks for giving us that treat there, Colten. But let's stick with one of your guys here, and Ladd McConkey. He started the season off kind of slow, but the last couple of weeks he's been playing really well. Like, which lad McConkey are we going to see for the second half of the season? Is he going to be the trick or the treat?
I think he's going to be the treat. I think he's going to be an absolute treat. Keenan Allen came out hot. Like, he showed that he had that connection with Justin Herbert. He was in the right places. Herbert was slinging the ball to him. It looked great. And he does what pretty much every single 30-some wide receiver, 30-some-year-old wide receiver. He's 33 in his 34th season. Anyways, he's slowing down, man. I mean, his body cannot handle that. He still makes big plays when they need him to, and he gets open. But he's not a young pup anymore. He can't be taking all these hits left and right. So I think he's going to be more of the guy that's like, hey, we're going to need a reliable guy in there to get open and make the play happen as well. Having two options in that, because that's exactly what Lad McConkey does too. So having those two options left and right when they just need that reliable catch, third and mid. I mean, having both of them out there is insane because they're both always open. So, but I think we're going to see that Lad McConkey continue to have his increased snap share, continue to get all these targets. I mean, and he's been catching touchdowns too. He is just because he just gets open. And we've also seen the decline of Quentin Johnston a little bit.
Maybe he should have been the trick or treat question.
And maybe
he got completely ghosted.
He was destroying at the beginning of the year, and now it's kind of flip-flop that Lad's kind of taking that role back over. So it'll be interesting to see as the year goes on how much Q gets back involved.
And then finally, our last receiver is Jameson Williams. I always want to call him Jameson Williams, JMO, for the Detroit Lions. I personally think he's always been a trick. I usually don't like to go for the boom bust type of receivers, and that's certainly what Jameson Williams is. And now it just seems like Detroit has so many weapons right now, and they're really leaning on Gibbs pretty heavy. I don't think there's enough room for Williams to be productive.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, he's boom bust. He finished week 2 as a wide receiver 12, and then week 6 as a wide receiver 12. Other than that, he wasn't even in the top 50. So out of 7 weeks, he's had two good games. So you're playing a 2 to 7 odds, which I don't like that. I don't like that at all. For best ball, sure, whatever. If you got him sitting on best ball and you don't have to guess when he's going to blow up, fun time.
Better than the best ball guy.
But having him where I have to try to pick what game he's going to blow up, absolutely not for me. I don't want to play that game, and I think he's an absolute trick.
Let's get into maybe a more fun category with the running backs. And let's start with your guy, Omarion Hampton, the rookie sensation that hasn't been yet. He's going to be coming back off of injury here in a couple weeks. He had 1 game.
2.
He had one game.
He was running back 4, running back 7.
Okay, 2 games.
Thank you.
So he gave you a treat, and then he gave you a trick after he was injured and going on the IR. What is he going to be for your roster for the second half of the season?
This is a tough one. I think he's still going to be a treat.
But with the emergence of the prolific Vidal?
Stop. They're not going to put... I'm so tired of Kamani Vidal truthers, honestly, on Twitter. They're like, I told you he was good. He's such a product of situation. Shut up. And I mean, for some reason, he was able to just run all over the Vikings too. I was like, what is happening? Can someone just tackle this guy? He's like, in his college tape, and this was my biggest knock on him coming out of college. When he started emerging last year, it's like, oh, Kamani Vidal could be the guy in LA. I went back and watched his college tape, and his college tape was if he even got sniffed behind the line, he was going down. He was only taking pretty much what he was given in his college tape. He had massive holes to run through, and he was explosive. He could get through those holes and get the yardage, but as soon as someone touched him, boop, down, boop. That like he wasn't breaking tackle. Thursday night, he looked like a regular old Adrian Peterson, just breaking tackles, bouncing off of left and right. I'm like, what is happening, Vikey? Just wrap him up. Like he goes down. Just wrap him up. What are you
A
doing?
big part was Joe Alt came back for the Chargers, and so their offensive line is starting to get healthy. And so finally, they're going to have a little bit more time to throw. They're going to be able to have more plays that are going to be able to develop for the Chargers. And the pass heaviest team in the NFL is going to just hopefully start burning stronger.
But yeah, that's my point. I mean, Vidal might be still involved early on with Omarion Hampton coming back from injury. I think he'll still be involved a little just to take a little heat off of Hampton since there is no other back. But I think once Hampton is fully healed, he could win you some championships this year, man. With the way that if Vidal could have ran that way on the Vikings, imagine Hampton in there. That's my whole thing. That's my whole point is if Vidal can do that, Hampton can do that, except for better. So I think it's going to be a thing of beauty once, the whole O-line's healed, and so is Hampton. So he is a treat.
Very good, very good. I think the next one's going to be probably the most tough, and the third one is going to be maybe something a little more interesting and a little more discussion. But there's so many people that keep saying, this is the week, this is the week, this is the week for TreyVeon Henderson. And we are yet to see the week from TreyVeon Henderson because Stevenson is holding strong and they're not giving Henderson the opportunities up until this point. But if you're in redraft like I am and have Henderson on your bench, like you can't play this guy right now until you see something. And so is this a guy that you're holding on to and hope that he's a treat?
Dynasty, absolutely. In fact, in Dynasty, I'm trying to go and get him because people took him, mid-first round, and they are just soured. They see nothing coming. They're like, you know what, this guy's going to be a bust, similar to like how everyone's viewing Caleb Johnson. Everybody's like, he is done for. He's never going to get the opportunity. He's awful. I'm trying to buy TreyVeon Henderson. I believe in TreyVeon Henderson more than Caleb Johnson, truly. Both were second-round picks, correct?
Yeah.
But
Caleb Johnson was a third-round pick.
He was a day two. Okay, he's just day two pick. Still high draft capital. But TreyVeon Henderson as a dynasty value, I am absolutely I'm trying to buy him. I'm trying to see what the manager will come off of him for. In terms of the rest of this year, I think he is an absolute trick. Unfortunately, we've seen this with Mike Rabel before. He likes to play his veteran guys. He likes to make the rookie really earn his spot and develop. He's a very good head coach. But we saw this happen with like AJ Brown. AJ Brown was a stud coming out of college, and yet he still just had to play his way onto the team and had to, really prove himself, and they weren't like feeding him the ball right away. I mean, this is exactly what we're going to see. It's going to take time to develop, and, they'll probably also ride the hot hand. So maybe if he gets a hot spree, he'll finally get his opportunity, but Ramondre is going to still be there, and they're going to keep leaning on their veteran as well.
Well, and they're paying Ramondre, as well too. And I think the big difference between Henderson and Caleb Johnson is in the off season, in preseason, and even in the regular season, we heard a lot of negativity from the Steelers about Caleb Johnson not being able to do pass pro, not really getting the playbook down. And Henderson, I haven't heard anything really negative coming out of the Patriots. It's not that they don't like Henderson. It's just that they just haven't given him the opportunities yet. And of those two, I would definitely go out and get Henderson well before I go out and get Caleb Johnson.
Yeah, I do know early on in the season, Henderson was having troubles with pass blocking, pass pro. He did get he had a game where he had 3 holding penalties against him in pass pro.
That's true.
So,
yeah.
He did kind of have some issues there, but ever since then, I haven't, like you said, I haven't heard much. I mean, that was like week 2 that he did that. So, and since then, I haven't really heard anything negative. So.
And then finally for our running backs category, Breece Hall. So we've already talked about the dumpster fire that is the Jets, but Breece Hall has a chance to escape this organization. And I think just for that little bit of hope that Breece Hall is let go and traded somewhere because he's on his last year of his contract. I personally think that Breece Hall is always a treat, and he can always just – all he needs is one – all he needs to have is the ball in his hands, and he has an opportunity to make a huge impact for your fantasy team. But with the Jets, that's where the trick comes in. You just never know what the Jets are going to do.
Well, here's a question for you then. If you were a contender in a league and you're trying to buy Breece Hall, are you going out and selling some decent assets that might be okay to play on your team to go and acquire him on the thought that he will be traded?
I would be fine trading for Breece Hall at the beginning of the season, in the middle of the season, at the end of the season. I love his talent, and I think he's a very talented back, regardless of which team that he's with. It's kind of like when Saquon was with the Giants. He was always on like a poor team, but eventually, like, something good is going to happen, and he's going to have the opportunities with his skill set to be successful. So I'm fine doing like a 2-for-1 type of deal. I'm fine still going out and if I have to pay like a mid first or a late first for him, I might do that if I'm a contender.
Yeah.
He's still fairly young. He's like 25, I think.
24.
24, even better. So,
yeah,
spark up that mid first and go get Breece Hall, and maybe he'll help you take a championship.
I'm currently staring down the barrel of that possibility, and I have to give up players. I have no picks left, so I'm looking at giving up maybe a couple of middling players to try to get Breece Hall. But these, middling players I'm referring to, they're getting me 10, 12 points a game. And doing all right, but it's like, I really want the guy that could give me the explosive play, but you're just trading it on the hope he gets traded from the Jets and can truly provide. Because I think if he stays on the Jets, he's not winning you a championship. He's not going to be getting those huge games that he did earlier on in his career. So you're just really hanging out, hoping he gets traded away at this point.
Would you trade Devin Neal and Gadsden for him?
Easy.
Yeah. So, what would you feel comfortable adding on to Gadsden with just following his hype to get Breece Hall?
I think you would have to add a player that's worthy of at least a flex start. Devin Neal isn't even worthy of that. You're looking at you're talking about Gadsden being maybe.
What about Worthy? Worthy and Gadsden for him.
That's a conversation. With the return of Rice, I think we're going to see Worthy's shares start going down. So, if I could move Worthy off of my team, I would absolutely be kind of doing that. So, I'd be willing to do that. Gadsden is just the new shiny toy that we just got in the last few weeks. So it's hard to move him, but I think I would do that.
We're in our last trick-or-treat category, and that is the quarterback. And why don't we start with who used to be our starting quarterback for the Minnesota Vikings, and Sam Darnold, now playing with the Seahawks. Is Sam Darnold going to help win you a championship, or at least get you there? Because we know how he plays in the playoffs. Is he a trick or is he a treat, Colten? Too soon?
Just crumbled in the playoffs. Don't worry, Daniel Jones is about to do it to the Colts as well, so don't feel bad. It's all gonna come to fruition. Don't you worry. The full circle. The full circle.
Yeah.
I got two teams, and neither one of them I think are gonna do well. So.
Well, I think Sam Darnold has been really a treat for the Seahawks, especially. This team was basically just throwing players out of their organization, looked like they were in a complete rebuild. We just need to get a quarterback that's some kind of that can comprehend how to play. And they're getting some really good play out of Sam Darnold right now, and he is making a huge connection with our guy JSN.
Yeah, and he has it down to a science, man. Where's JSN? I'll throw him the ball. Where's JSN? I'll throw him the ball. It's just literally every snap. Then they just it keeps working. So why go away from it? JSN is absolutely dominating the league right now. And Sam Darnold just knows where to find him. So he'll just keep throwing him the ball. And I think it's fantastic. I do think Sam Darnold is a treat. I think he's going to play his way into a long-term contract here with Seattle. You know, a lot of people are in an uproar saying, oh, they drafted Milton in the second round. You got to still remember he's there, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, I don't think they care. I think if Sam Darnold's playing well for him, I don't think they're going to say, well, we have to move off with him because we got a second rounder. I mean, it's not like Milton was a first round, top 10 pick or anything. They got to play who's going to play well for them, and that's Sam Darnold. And I was never a believer in Milton anyways. I think he can run the heck out of the ball, but throwing the ball,
Sam Darnold's getting paid like $100 million for 3 years, and so he's definitely not. He's like the new Kirk Cousins. Yeah, that's why the Vikings didn't pay him, because we knew we were going to have to pay him over $100 million, and we've been down that track already with Kirk Cousins, and Sam Darnold is now the new Kirk Cousins.
Kirko Jr.
He's a mercenary. He'll just go wherever he's going to get paid, and he's still really pretty young. Sam Darnold, he's been in the league forever. I think he came out when he was like 18. So he's like super young.
I think he was in fact 20. I think you are correct.
Yeah, he was like the youngest quarterback ever to start.
Yeah, top 3. He was third overall.
These next 2 quarterbacks, it's kind of a 2-part question. We can ask about trick or treat for both the quarterback and the team. And the first one I'd like to start with is in our division of the NFC North, Caleb Williams and the Bears. Caleb Williams and the Bears. So first start with Caleb Williams, and then let me know what your take is for the Bears as the season, unfolds the second half.
I will say this. It was an absolute rocky start to their season. It looked like they were going to be absolutely terrible. I mean, Caleb Williams, though, hasn't been playing that bad. In terms of quarterback play, he's getting the ball to his guys. His fantasy production is kind of like a roller coaster. We have quarterback 9, 21, 24, 10, 27. So it's a rough ride.
I never know when to play him.
But, yeah, I mean, he does have some spike weeks, and, he does have a decent schedule coming up for these next few weeks, but then it starts to get rough again. I mean, he's got Baltimore, Cincy, the Giants, Minnesota, Pittsburgh, but then you got Philly, Green Bay, Cleveland, Green Bay again. So in your fantasy playoffs, looking at them, you got to face Green Bay, Cleveland, and Green Bay. Ooh, that doesn't sound like fun to me for your fantasy playoffs. I mean,
not fun.
Rest of the season, not including playoffs, I think I would like to have them on my team. I think they're getting better as the season goes on. And it was talked about in the early season that Ben Johnson's offense is very complex, and it takes guys time to figure it out. And we have to remember this is just their first season with Ben Johnson as their head coach. So it's still going to take some time. It's not an immediate fix, but I see a lot of progress compared to what Caleb Williams looked like last year.
Okay. And we ended up seeing Bryce Young last year getting benched for Andy Dalton, and then finally coming back and playing somewhat decent. This year, he kind of reverted back to his old playing style. He's again tumbling down. It kind of looks like he's getting a soft benching, as J.J. McCarthy did, and they're going to be playing Andy Dalton this week. Does Bryce Young, does he turn into the treat that was at the end of last season, or does he continue to be the trick that he is from the beginning of this season?
Well,
and then going on to the Panthers after that.
Here's the problem. How many wins do the Panthers have?
They've got 5, don't they?
4 and 3. 4 and 3.
4 and 3.
So they are 4 and 3, I believe. Let me double check myself before I lie to you.
That sounds right. I knew that they were winning.
That sounds correct to me. Yeah, 4 and 3. So they're 4 and 3. Bryce Young is getting wins. I mean, he's not been great for fantasy, but they have been getting wins. They have the emergence of both Rico Dowdle in the backfield and Chuba Hubbard now. So they've got a two-headed monster in the backfield. And Bryce Young just has to not turn the ball over at this point, I think, in order to keep his job, for at least another year. Maybe he loses it next year, but they're getting wins. If he doesn't turn the ball over, he's just not going to be conducive for fantasy because they're not going to be throwing touchdowns. I don't think he's a good enough quarterback to really throw those touchdowns. I mean, Tet McMillan finally got a couple, but who else is receiving touchdowns on that team? I can't tell you. It's going to be Tet McMillan, and he has two. Xavier Legette got one, I think,
2 weeks ago.
2 weeks ago. But it's still not a reliable option. I mean, so
Sanders has been up and down injured.
Right. I think he's an all right quarterback at this point, and he's playing well enough to get him some wins, obviously. But for fantasy, he's an absolute trick because he's not going to be throwing those touchdowns. He doesn't run. He doesn't run at all. I mean, he's had a couple of scrambles here and there, but for the most part, he doesn't run the ball. So he's a trick because he's not going to throw touchdowns. He's not going to run touchdowns in. So you're not going to get a lot of points out of him. You're relying solely on yardage.
Do you think Carolina continues to get on this winning streak?
You want to hear their upcoming schedule? Buffalo, Green Bay. Oh, New Orleans. Ugh. They should win that one. Should.
Good.
Atlanta, who they absolutely
That might be the Devin Neal game, though. That might be the Devin Neal game. You can circle that on your calendar.
There you go. San Francisco, Rams, but then they have New Orleans, Tampa Bay, Seattle, Tampa Bay. I don't think they continue this winning streak. I think they squeak out a couple of more wins here, maybe 3 or 4, but I don't see it being continuing down this path.
I'm never a Bryce Young guy, so he's always a trick in my book. No, not up in here. And then finally, Colten, the Giants. We're seeing them be at least entertaining to watch on the television right now, and they just barely missed beating the Broncos. They were leading that game for 3 quarters, like 19-0. The Giants look like they've got a spark. They've got the Bash brothers. Are they going to continue to move the football the way they're moving the football and continue to entertain us and be the treat that they have been the last couple weeks?
Unfortunately, I do not think it's going to be a treat for the rest of the time coming up. I mean, they got Philly this upcoming week, which is going to be a treat.
They beat them like a couple weeks ago.
They beat them at home. It was the surprise of Jackson Dart, Cam Scatteraboo emergence. I don't know if Philly was ready. Philly was completely injured on defense too. The commentators were talking that out of 11 of the guys that were on the field for the Super Bowl last year, there was only one still out there, and that was Cooper DeJean. Only one, because their other cornerback Mitchell got injured. They had a bunch of injuries on the line or guys that were gone. So I mean, it was a completely different game. There's a lot of injuries on that defense, and they were playing in New York with the emergence of these two Bash brothers. Everyone was playing hyped up on New York. I think it was a huge morale boost and win for them. But walking into Philly, the defense is looking better. I mean, last week, Jalen Hurts looked absolutely incredible throwing the ball around. I will say there's no A.J. Brown this
and against
week.
the Vikings again.
Yeah, I mean, I'll say there's no.
We suffer
A.J.
here,
Brown.
Colten. We suffer.
You're not wrong. It was brutal, but he could throw the ball anywhere. But they're starting to get.
We shot ourselves in the foot in that game.
Could have won it. That was a catch.
Just ridiculous. There was multiple times. It was the catch, no catch. Later in the day, Kelsey has the same exact type of catch, and he's considered a touchdown or a catch, and it's just like, oh man, just the woes continue for the Vikings. And I said it from the start of the season, like, this is not our year. And I don't think it gets any better with JJ McCarthy. I should have had the Vikings on here as a trick or treat question.
The answer is a treat. They're always a treat to watch, Dustin.
But
I
wasn't tricked.
To continue, I think that's going to be I think it's going to be a trick, unfortunately, because they've got Philly, San Fran, and maybe San Fran will finally get healthy. My goodness, what a team that just cannot stay healthy. But then you have Chicago, Green Bay, Detroit, New England, who hasn't been much of a pushover. Washington's been rough, but then they got Minnesota and Vegas. It could be good for the fantasy playoffs. Looking
if
at
they're still there, if they're still healthy.
I was going to say
if they're not on the IR.
If they are able to make it, I would not hate this at all for fantasy playoffs. I mean, Washington, Minnesota, Vegas. I mean, Cam Scottaboo could go hard.
What are you trying to say about Minnesota?
Good. I'm saying they have been absolutely dominated these last couple of weeks.
Yes.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah. I got one last one here for you, Colton. And what kind of treat would you give to this team, the Buffalo Bills, that could use some wide receiver depth? If there was a wide receiver that could get moved before the trade deadline and end up in the Buffalo Bills organization, which wide receiver would you like to see there, and how could they be a good fit for him?
It's a very difficult question, but man, I mean, am I doing like realistic? Like who could be traded?
Probably, yeah. I would say realistic. I mean, there's players like Myers with the Vegas Raiders. There's Waddle. It's been rumored. There's Jerry Jeudy, maybe J-Mo. I mean, we don't know what the Lions are thinking about J-Mo. I think it's his last year under contract. And then even DJ Moore are just some names to name a few for the wide receivers.
Staring down the barrel of DJ Moore is it a product of the situation of with all the mouths to feed, or is he starting to lose a step? Or because we've seen him be hot and cold his whole career though. So, I mean, I don't know if I would necessarily like him. We saw Amari Cooper go there last year, and everyone was hyped up about that, and he became nothing and did nothing. So, I mean, I think if they're going to trade for one, I think it needs to be big. I think it needs to be, like that's the Stephon Diggs. I mean, and someone that I want to say Chris Olave, but I don't see the Saints moving off of Chris Olave because then they have no one left.
That's a great answer, though.
But I would love to see Chris Olave to go there. He's a guy that he gets open. He just always is open. He moves fantastically. I mean, he's a very good wide receiver. He's just been throwing hospital balls on the New Orleans Saints offense, just left and right. Had subpar quarterbacks his whole entire career. And so I would just like for the Saints to just hit an absolute reset and just say, here, let's get something for Olave. And, I think that would be fantastic for the Bills. And I would love it. That would be my absolute favorite, like realistic trade. I mean, aside from T. Higgins, but the Bagels have already
they've already paid Higgins. That ain't happening. But it's definitely an under the radar type of player that potentially could get moved. I have heard his name come up in some trade talks, but again, I don't know if the Saints are willing to move Chris Olave, who is pretty much the whole face of that offense now.
Yeah, I mean, he's everything. He just gets so many, they're targets, but they aren't productive targets because they're so close to the line. So it's just, but I would like to see him do something with his career and not be just thrown into the hospital because the Saints organization keeps feeding him crappy garbage catches where he gets demolished. I feel bad for him because he's had 5 concussions in the league or something like that, and he just can't sustain. But it's because of his inadequate quarterbacks. They just they're like, well, I have nothing else, so I'm going to chuck this ball to Olave, and he just plays his heart out and gets absolutely destroyed. So it would be cool to see him go to a good team with a really good quarterback that will not kill him.
Ideally. That would be ideal. And I hope everyone listening enjoyed our trick or treat Halloween episode.
Whoa!
Definitely
Who's yours?
just kind of mixing it up.
Who's your wide receiver you want to go to the Bills? I want to hear yours.
I thought an interesting player would actually be JMO. And I'm not a JMO fan, but they need somebody to kind of open the field up, and I don't think Keon Coleman is the answer.
You
So
mean,
I thought, what?
You mean the Gabe Davis role?
They need basically. They need somebody that can open the field, and if they open the field, they can do the same thing as they're doing with Amon-Ra right now. You have someone open the field, so it allows some of those underneath targets to like Shakir. I think Shakir is too similar to DJ Moore, and that's why I didn't say DJ Moore. And I don't think Waddle's going anywhere for Miami, and honestly, I've never been really a Waddle guy. So I think JMO is the answer, mainly just kind of open up the middle part of the field so that way they can give it to some of their other weapons in Kincaid and to Shakir.
I would love that. I think that's a good call.
So, but I think the Chris Olave one, that's a tier above Colten.
Yeah, I know, but I would love.
That was a great poll.
Thank you.
Yeah. So happy Halloween to everybody
Happy
out
Halloween.
there. Enjoy. I hope you enjoy the festivities, and you can get out there with your kids and let them get a bunch of candy and let them run around all crazy like after all sugared up.
Oh, mimble bimble.
Oh, mimble from tree to tree. All right. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the podcast. You can find me at FF Healers, and you can find Colten at FF Captain 22 on Twitter X. And don't forget to like and subscribe to the program. And you can also find us on YouTube for some of our shorts and some of our podcast videos. All you got to do is search at FF Healers. And with that, peace.
Salud.